Underground about ICE versus EV, and I'm fully ICE, as you know, and we've got a couple of EV fans backstage. So before we get going with the guest of the debate, I'd love to bring up our host of the debate. She is a journalist, she is on TV, she has got major, big energy, and she's a wonderful woman in the automotive space. Abigayle Andre, She Talks Cars. Come on! She Talks Cars! How are you?
I'm good, how are you? I'm sad I missed a bit.
Well, you're going to be on stage at 3 o'clock with women drivers as well, but this is major because I watch your videos and you love all cars. You did R34 GTI the other week and a lot of electric stuff.
Oh, you look sad about that. I did both, I like both.
Exactly, okay, cool. I don't.
We'll get to that.
Right, we've got, me and you are going to stay stood up. We've got some chairs for our guests, okay? We've got Iwan Thomas, MBE, we've got Freddy Tavarish, and we've got Chris Hazell from Fellten. Let's just give them a round of applause.
Oh, wakey.
The crowd is loving it. Freddy Tavarish from Florida, ladies and gents.
All the way from Florida. Yeah, I feel great. Honestly, I'm past my jet lag. I am awake and I'm ready to scream about EVs and why I don't like them.
Well, can I just say, up until 30 seconds ago, I didn't know I was even doing this until Chira reminded me. We went out for a Chinese meal a couple of months ago, and I said I would do this debate.
Yeah, because over dinner you told me how good your Tesla was.
Well, we'll get into it in a minute. I said I own a Tesla, but hang on. Should we start now? Is this the debate?
Might as well, we've got going already.
Well, just to clarify, I do own a Tesla. I also I've also got the new RS6 and I've got a big V8 supercharged truck. So I can talk from both sides of the argument, perhaps.
So you're like a vegan that goes and eats meat when nobody's about?
No, I'd say I'm a meat eater who secretly likes a vegan meal once in a while. I'll do it that way around.
Bit of tofu.
That's a person that does not exist. You understand this, right?
Okay, but if I'm going to be honest, the reason I have an electric vehicle is purely for tax reasons. So through the company, it's very cheap to run as an everyday family car. So that's why I've got the Tesla, which, yeah, it is a bit boring. My kids love the whoopee cushion, the fart machine. There's different features on it which are quite good fun. I've recently done a review as well on the Lotus Electra R, which is the equivalent of 900 brake horsepower, and the thing is rapid. But I can't get away from the fact the infrastructure in the UK still
Why are you looking at me? It's not right.
you're the media. The infrastructure still isn't there for electric cars. I don't think, because whenever say I go visit my mum and dad, which is like 150 miles away. My Tesla might say I've got 300 miles, but that's absolutely, it hasn't. It doesn't do what it says, and I panic.
Drive your Tesla?
Well, I drive like a car I was meant to be driven.
No, you're not. You're hammering it. You're going full send. Like MPG, if you put your foot down, of course you're going to get less range.
I think Tesla and electric cars say you'll get the rate, but that's if you may be doing 50 miles an hour, no radio, no heater on.
No whoopee cushion.
No whoopee
whoopee cushion.
So yeah, but I'll get into the other cars in a minute. But so I can see, I know you're looking at it disgusted at me. I can see the appeal of the Tesla car financially. Okay, so, and you can get a double buggy in the boot, it's actually alright. But I also see where you're about to say, and smash me down that petrol's away.
So a Tesla is, one of my friends actually bought a Tesla for $17,000, and it was an old Model S. It has autopilot, it had 55,000 miles on it, and it was a really, really good deal. Has free supercharging, and every time I get into it, I don't feel anything. And it's great, it's a really practical car, it's fine for financial reasons, all that is really, really good. But the reason why we're here is not because we're not here for practicality, we're here for this stuff. Okay? We're here because cars make noise. They make us feel something. You know, when you start up a car and it gives you those goosebumps, that's exactly why we're all here. I would be more on the hybrid drivetrain than any EV, because an EV necessarily takes this away. There's an imperfection that isn't like Tesla body panel gaps, you know? Like, there's an imperfection in this that makes it, that gives it a personality. Like, it doesn't idle, right, but you feel like, if you don't drive this car, and I'm pointing to this car because all Lamborghinis are the same, but like, if you don't drive, Yeah, I have a Murcielago. I know exactly. If you don't drive that Murcielago for like a month, it's angry at you. It's like an old ex-girlfriend, you know? But if you drive it every week, it's like, it's really happy. It's like, hey, you want to go for a ride? So, you know, stuff like that, like EVs, it's too sterile, and it's really practical. I think there's a good use case for London cabs, for, you know, things that, like, if you need to get home from the airport, an EV is probably a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're, you know, if you have a weekend canyon carver or something, an EV is not what I'd pick.
No, I'm hearing you. They're soulless. They are soulless, but for financial reasons, and I've got to say the ease of driving. I mean, you've got to have your wits about you just to get that out of your driveway. I must say the Tesla's very easy to drive.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you just get in it and you drive. But I agree, you just get in it and
Can we
drive.
pull this away
Nothing
from
about it.
Pull this away from Teslas?
Okay, electric.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
I will get
EVs,
sold
yes.
off here, but I don't own a Tesla,
Cool.
and I don't enjoy driving the Teslas
Cool.
because they are a bit boring. And I'm going to put out there, they're like the Ford Mondeo was when it got released. They were everywhere.
That's it. Well,
Teslas
the
are the
design
same.
of the Teslas for me are like drones. They're like little, and when I see them, I think of them as debadged Focuses and Mondeos.
But I think what we've got to remember
People
is
like Focuses and Mondeos, there's quite a few. Do you know what I mean? They are a good car, but let's not use Tesla as a benchmark for quality.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody hell.
I'm only going off the Tesla because that's the EV that I own,
That's
but
the
I
one
have
you've
driven other EVs. But listen,
Yeah.
I seem to be a bit pro EV. Can I get more like, as I said,
over there.
I've got an RS6 and that big American truck as well. So my love and my memories of my dad growing up in his beaten up Alfa Romeo isn't electric. Clearly it's not, you know. So I am a petrol head who happens to also have an EV. I'd rather stand on this side of
Let's
it.
do the fight on the classic cars then. Teslas are a bit boring.
Yeah.
Classics have a hard.
And you've got an amazing selection of
I've got a
classics
selection.
there. And I drove the Mini when I went to see them. I drove the Mini, and first car I ever drove. You drive here in the UK when you're 17, right? I started driving at the end of being just nearly 16, a Mini, a real Mini in a field. That's how I started driving. And I drove that Mini, and when I drove this electric Mini, he was sat next to me, and honestly, my face was that 16-year-old again. This electric Mini, and I am pro engines, this electric Mini put a massive smile on my face.
Was it the Mini though, and you were remembering your childhood, that gave you that smile, or was it the torque and the instant power of an electric vehicle? Well, just be honest.
I'm
was
going to
it-
be honest, the power that Mini had when I drove it, the electric one, blew me away. Honestly, I had a big smile on my face. We filmed it, we put it out on Instagram. It was awesome.
What was it? I want one.
I did say I want one at the end of
There
it.
we go.
I did, sorry.
But I think you've got to remember the Mini never had a very good engine. It was never that engine you go, oh, I want an A series, it sounds beautiful. So there's cars like the Minis, which are great to convert. Now, admittedly, I do have a Porsche G-body over there, which a lot of people would argue about being converted. But it does have
The comments, the people are absolutely like, oh, what did you do to it? But like that Porsche has had its life, 200,000 miles. or something.
230,000 miles, and I've done 30,000 miles on top of that as electric, and it's now 500 brake horsepower.
Can you convert it? Can
Yeah,
you,
so
like,
that
can you
Porsche
reverse it?
is fully reversible. Everything bolts in. It's a 1 week install. Take it out, put the plastic back in.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, it's fully reversible. I think we've also got to remember the younger generations these days. They don't know how to tune carburetors. They don't know how to look after internal combustion vehicle. They've not been brought up with it in their dad's garages tinkering with cars anymore, like say a lot of our generation were. But you go to an EV, someone will have a classic and they'll love it, they'll enjoy it, and have all these memories of when they were out with their dad when they were younger, or their mum when they were younger, in a car they can drive every single day.
I get
that. If you try driving that nicely in London, what you're getting, like 15 miles to the gallon?
Yeah, but
Oh, no, but no one cares. What MPG you're getting with a Lamborghini Aventador, no one
I mean,
cares.
what would happen? Let's, for argument's sake, okay, I respect what your company does and all that, I get what you do. You could never make that electric, surely, and I know you could.
Well,
You
they're going to have to
convert-
because they're not going to have a choice.
No,
He wants to make
Don't
my
tell me.
Murcielago electric.
don't do it.
No, of course I'm not.
I will buy your engine from you, and then I'll put it in something fun.
How would the world look at you if you did that?
I
You know, a
wouldn't do it.
screaming
I
V12, you
couldn't
know,
do it.
the
Like,
flames, the theatre you get.
Greta would love him.
Yeah, I couldn't
One
do it.
person.
I built the Liberty Walk Audi R8 that was at Gravity a couple of years ago. That was where I started out, was V10s. And so there's certain cars you just could not do. But there's certain cars where you look at and go, that's stunning, but as a petrol it's awful.
So you're admitting You would ruin that if you made it electric.
Yeah,
so you're saying you're pro-petrol then? You're talking yourself out of loving electric then. If you're saying
No, but
certain cars you wouldn't do it.
They did the Testarossa for Richard Rawlings. You were involved in that.
Yeah, don't get me started on that thing. I'm not going to comment on that.
Well, I mean, okay, for that car,
Did you get it up?
that car was a Ferrari, Ferrari Testarossa that they made into a single-seater, center seat, and then they put an EV conversion in there. And for me, it's like, hey, it's a Ferrari, and the best part is it doesn't make any noise.
You can make your own noises.
Yeah, so it,
You know?
I'm going to say this now, and no everyone's going to hate me for this, but the Testarossa
does make fart
looks
noises.
like a bed that you can have in your child's bedroom.
yeah, it's like a race car bed. Yeah, for adults. Yeah,
For adults.
Yeah.
Right, so I've got a question then. Right, so we talk about sound, talk about all this other stuff, but let's go deep. What about what impact it has on people's health? Do we not care?
It makes them age slower.
Horribly?
Yeah, it makes them. It's if you drive an electric car, I think there's a consensus that you're just a bad person. No.
Give me a minute. I didn't sit down.
It's a joke. No, honestly, the health implications, and if we electrified everything, there would be some short-term gains. My issue is when you're lithium mining, and then you have to now have roads that have cars that are essentially double the weight. That's going to have impact on tires, brakes, and like all that stuff. There's a lot of externalities that we aren't seeing with EVs. Like just because they're not, belching out smoke or emissions or anything, doesn't mean that's the end of the story. So
Only
the car
for about 5 more years.
was that?
Only for about 5 more years.
Sure.
Like you think the internal combustion engine's been around for a long, long time, and it's got more and more refined. We've only been investing in EVs for 20 years, if that. So you imagine what they're going to be like in 10 years' time. There won't be lithium in the batteries. They'll be half the weight. So you'll be back to where you are now.
So how do you dispose of all those lithium batteries you've got around now?
You can recycle.
Right.
And this, like right here, everyone's forgetting, the percentage of lithium in your phone is per kilogram is way higher than the percentage of lithium per kilogram in a car battery.
Yes, but if you look at actual raw numbers, how much is actually going into a car, and then where's that all going to go? Now all that has to be mined, all that has to be manufactured. So that with it comes a cost. I also don't think the 5-year thing. I don't think that's realistic because a lot of countries they're like, oh yeah, we're going to be carbon neutral by 2030. We're not going to sell any internal combustion engine cars by 2030. Every single one of those countries is rolling that back because they're seeing that this isn't feasible. It's not possible. And I don't know if it's not possible in 20 years, in 50 years, or if this is just not the solution that they thought it was. Apparently there's a lot of issues with
You've
it.
always got to put a date on it though. So if you never put a date on a project to be finished, it never gets finished.
Yeah, so I wouldn't know anything about that.
Sound like my truck builder. That does.
You've got to put a date on it.
Sounds like Freddy's YouTube series is whoopsie.
I think there's another way out of it in terms of, listen, I'm not scientifically educated enough, but I think there's a different fossil fuel or there's something out there which would be a better,
fossil fuel's the problem,
better
so we don't
solution.
want another one of
Okay,
them.
well there'd be a different
I
form,
love fossil
there'd be something out there which is a better solution than that. I just don't
Such as?
Well no, as I'm saying, I'm not
You're
scientifically
going to
educated
go
enough
to
to know, but
synthetic fuels, for instance, which will have a place for racetracks.
which is not ready for electric vehicles yet, I don't think. 5 years is not realistic. I mean, I've had the Tesla a year and a half, and as I said, I have to plan every journey if it's over 150
I'm
miles.
not saying 5 years, no, I'm saying lithium won't be in the batteries.
Right, okay.
There'll be a sodium battery or something different, so we won't be mining lithium anymore, which will be a way more better for the environment. The electric cars are going to take 15, 20 years to become common.
You're driving a V12 that smashes out flames at them. You're not bothered about the environment, are you? And maybe you should be, but we do lots of things in our life, whether it's the way we fuel our houses or the food we eat. There's lots of things we unfortunately do which is bad for the planet, and I know we've all got to do our bit, but I just can't see cars like this going yet. I mean, people are here to see these
You're
kind
the
of
perfect
vehicles.
example though, because you have an EV,
I have the best
and then you
of both
have your
worlds.
fun car, which is
It's for tax purposes.
Yeah,
surely
Tax,
that works.
he doesn't want to pay taxes, so that's why he got an EV.
So
That's the only reason why people buy these
You
things.
don't have one of these to save money, but then you go and get a Tesla because it's cheaper and you want to save money.
That's right.
Yeah, so he's equalising his financial balance sheet.
My business partner Alex has a collection of about 20 or 30 classic cars, but then he drives his EV every day and he'll get his really nice classic, like say DB6 out on the weekend.
So, I came down to see you and your facilities and everything you do at Fellten. I was bloody impressed. You are a petrol head. We came to that conclusion. Your business is classic car conversions into EV. I drove the Mini, and for me, anything cool, funky, like a little Mini or a Fiat 500 with an electric engine would actually be or have a place in my garage. My conclusion from visiting you, but also from hearing everybody, this is my Petrolheadonism conclusion. EV is an alternative, but please stop ramming it down my throat that it's the future, because 2030, 2035 is not going to happen. I am going to drive my V8 1974 Mercedes until I die.
Thing is, what are you going to replace it with? There's only so much old dinosaur in the ground.
1975
He'd be dead by then, like you said, so it'd be his children.
Your kids won't then. Your kids will be driving EVs, so they are the future, even if they're not the future in 10 years. Within the next 50 years, they'll have to be.
I think it's an addition. I think it's an addition. Like I had the Honda E for a while, right? And that was an amazing little car for around town, but the range was 98 miles or something. But I'm just saying.
Honda E is terrible.
No, I loved it. I think it looks cool. I loved
100
it.
miles, 36 grand. Absolutely not. That is not.
But
Tesla and Honda E.
But for a car to go around town and do the weekly shop,
But then
it
moderate
was
this.
perfect.
Not your opinion.
I'm getting involved. The gloves are off.
You're meant to be the mediator.
I'm not mediating. I'm
So
getting
what's
involved.
the
I'm
best
getting it.
EV coming to the market right now? I know you saw the Renault 5 GT Turbo, which I thought was cool. The new Renault 5 replacement looks cool. But again, the thing that gets me is you get all the gimmicks on the electric cars, like the full wraparound schemes, the fresh tank, the fart noises. Why don't we have that on petrol cars? It's because they're trying to load the gimmicks into we've got this going on.
They're trying to give them a personality, and it's all artificial. So one of the things that you guys talked about is the environmental impact. And yes, the emissions from cars like this do have an impact, but they're not the biggest impact. Like the biggest impact that we have, that we can make, is on the airline industry, on the shipping industry. Like those things, if you had one container ship, it would take care of all the emissions in every car in this car park for like multiple years.
Yeah,
so
these are all petrol. That's what petrol's not the bad thing here.
It's
It's the
diesel.
diesel.
Well,
The diesel
the-
particulates are
Diesel.
Well, but the issue with diesel, and diesel is the same thing, is because diesel has such energy density that it makes total sense to make. And these ships, they also have diesel electric generators, and they're not just powering the propellers; they're powering the entire ship. They're doing a lot. Like they're very efficient at what they do. So they have that electric component, they have batteries and everything. But if we're talking about cars, honestly, if we just kept with our regular internal combustion engines, it wouldn't make that big of a difference. If we converted every car into EV, we'd still have a massive problem.
Yeah, we will. But you've got to push the technology along, haven't you? And if you look, most of the things, automotive industry does a huge amount of development that feeds into multiple other industries. So if they can improve batteries, get them to a really high energy density, it then pushes into planes. So at the moment, with the technology out there, you can probably build a plane that will do about 1,000 miles with the current technology. But if the technology keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed in the automotive industry, it'll cross over to the airline industry, and eventually you'll have fully electric planes. The issue with the airline industry,
I don't know about that.
the issue with airlines is you have to have a minimum additional running time from your destination, but you have to be able to carry on running for longer.
Yes.
That's the big issue.
Yeah, the minimum fuel. So I just watched a video on this this morning. So not only do they have to have fuel for taxiing and takeoff, but you have to have fuel for the trip, and then you have your reserve fuel, which is about 3 to 5%, and then you can add more fuel just in case you need to go around, do some, have to divert to a different airport. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. EVs, honestly, if there was an airplane, like an airline, and they were like, we are 100% carbon neutral, we don't have any emissions, we have all electric planes, I'm like, I would never get on that.
they will have backup proper engines for the EV planes.
Exactly.
Can you imagine getting an
Well, it
electric
pops out and
plane?
it's a regular engine.
Imagine getting an electric plane and it's a 1,000-mile journey or something. I ain't trusting the range on it. You know,
Well, especially the amount of times you're kind of circling over Heathrow when you're coming into
This is a car show. Let's go back to this, right?
Planes is in the distance, but I want to draw one comparison, right? So America and the UK, very different landscape. So
Nah, it's the same.
No, it's not, because I can drive somewhere and get there in 2 hours. But
Whoa, this is all getting a bit out of hand. Everyone seems to be very angry. This is the best debate I've ever seen. I had to go get a mic, because she's getting angry Millers. Ewan's trying to back her up. Freddie's like, no. And Jiro's trying to be the adjudicator. You were supposed to be the referee.
I'm meant to be the referee, but I can't listen to Tesla Model 3.
Well, can I ask then, what's the conclusion here then, in terms of what do you think the future is then?
Right, the future is something that we don't have a choice about, because unfortunately I'm not Rishi Sunak, thank the good Lord. So, do you know what I mean? We've got politicians that make the decisions, we just have to follow suit. We're not saying that these are just going to be just wiped off the face of the earth because we've got a landfill problem, right? But what I am saying is, we have to make some choices and some decisions. It's about the environment, yes, but it's also about kids' health. So diesel is the one that we don't like. I stopped driving a diesel, I've had diesel engines for a long time. Do you know how hazardous that is to kids' health? You know, when a diesel, like, ice cream bag, I've read the studies, it's true. Diesel versus petrol is really, really bad. It causes asthma, even children.
But it smells so good.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you.
Right, thank you guys, thank you.